And so the best part of it all is we don't have to flex. And that is the greatest part of being older, because you really don't have to flex. You reach a point where your friendships and your relationships are no longer dependent on what you're wearing and where you live. Today, we are talking about a topic that is often kept in the shadows, but it affects every single one of us. We are looking at what happens when we reach our 70s and beyond, and what it truly means to become old. This is not just for our elders. It is a guide for you young people too. You need to start right now so that you can understand what is coming and learn how to grow old with true success.
It's Mama Faye, and I got something to say. It's Mama Faye, and I got something to say.
Hey, my Momafey family, come on in, because your journey definitely brought you home today. Take a seat and relax, because the next couple of minutes will change your life. First, let me introduce myself to some. I am Momafey, and I am on a mission to elevate women who are becoming, women who are growing into themselves in real time, women who hold family, careers, and relationships together. I bring lived experience as a wife, a mom, a nurse, a leader, a coach, and a woman who has walked in many seasons in my life. This podcast is for women who know she is becoming and is ready and are ready to understand what that really means. So, when people cross that milestone of becoming 70, it can happen younger or older. There is an eternal or internal conversion change. Many older adults admit that they feel a sense of facing their own mortality. They look in the mirror and realize time is moving faster than ever. Along with that comes that painful reality of losing control and losing power. They feel, and I'm in that little category now, and experiencing a physical, mental, and functional decline, or the threat of losing physical, mental, and functional decline. The body does not bounce back the way it used to, and the mind can feel a little closer. So they start to wonder about your legacy. We start looking back and asking, what do I really actually have to show for my life? And some of you younger people, you might want to start now looking at so you can be prepared. But the hardest part of this journey is often the emotional side. Many seniors talked about how heavy the sense of isolation is, and they describe feeling invisible to people around them, to their families, to society as a whole, and as you slowly disappear. It is as if the world keeps rushing forward and you have been left sitting on the sidelines. And many also grapple with that big spiritual question about life after death, wondering what comes next when the physical journey ends. So, if you are an older listener experiencing this, I want you to know today that your feelings are completely valid. You are not losing your mind, and you are not wrong for feeling this way. But I also want you to know that your life still has immense value, and we're going to talk about that today. And it's some exciting things that are happening, and it's going to help all of us to be able to plan better for our lives. Now, for you younger listeners, this is your roadmap. But for those of you like me, you are closer to that moment. You do not have to stumble blindly into these years. Science shows us that we can actually prepare to age successfully. There was a major study published by the Yale School of Public Health, and they found that nearly half of adults over 65 actually showed measurable improvements in their mental and physical ability over time. And decline is not an absolute rule, meaning you don't have to absolutely decline. The researchers also discovered that people who improved were really the ones who had held positive belief about aging. So your mindset right now can actually determine how your body will handle stress later. If you see getting old as a beautiful evolution rather than just a scary drop off into nowhere or into isolation or becoming invisible, your brain and body will build a strong and stay strong if you have that mindset of a beautiful evolution. So here are another interesting fact. The Legacy Project at Cornell University interviewed over 1,000 older people, and they shared that the biggest secret to successful life is focusing on relationships and experiences rather than chasing money and things. So we know you need that bag, but while you are trying to get that bag, make sure younger people and those of us who are getting there start focusing on those relationships and those experiences. Because the older people who are there now also warned that worrying about things you cannot control, like your money, is a waste of precious time. So, what do we do next in real life? Whether you are 30 or 75, here is your practical step-by-step lifestyle plan. But first, I also want to talk to you about a documentary that I saw that is worth mentioning when we are talking about becoming old. I don't know how many of you have seen, it's a hit Netflix documentary series. Is talking about the blue zones. So if you have not, I'm going to go over it a little bit with you, and I really want to encourage you to go and watch this series because it can help give you some insight on how those of us who have not gotten there yet can hopefully implement some of these things into our lives that can make our lives a little bit better. And also for you all who are younger, start working on these things now and encouraging the people around you who are older, and you see your aging parents and grandparents and auntie and people that you love. You can also implement these things as well. So the documentary is called Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zone. And what it did was it tracked a special areas around the world where people live past 100 years old. Can you imagine? But this is the kicker. They were not in a hospital bed, but they were vibrant and they were thriving and healthy. So while the person that was a part of this documentary, Dan Buettner, popularized the blue zones, and how it was through these National Geographic and this Netflix documentary. The actual foundation of this concept rests on decades of peer-reviewed and formal scientific research. So this has been well documented, all right? And what happened is the people who studied demographics was literally able to draw blue dots on the map of the world, around the world, where these clusters of healthy 100-year-old people live. And guess what? Even though these people live thousands of miles away from each other and probably didn't even know that the others exist, they live from Japan to Italy, even in the US, it was something that they all shared, which was 9 specific lifestyle traits called the Power 9. And that's why I wanted to bring this to us today, those of us who are becoming old. These are 9 characteristics that they all had in common. So hopefully when I finish today, please check out that documentary so you can better understand this and get some great takeaways too, like I did. So let's begin. The first one was they moved naturally. And these people lived in areas they didn't spend a lot of hours lifting weights at a gym. Instead, they lived in environments that constantly nudged them into unconsciously physical activity, meaning they walk to the market, they tend to still hillside garden, meaning that they did their gardening, they baked bread by hand, and they did their own housework, meaning they was up and they were moving and they were doing, not necessarily sitting behind watching TV all day or on the computer or on a pad, or just having everything done for you, but they were moving naturally. So that's key. Then the second one was that all these people had in common in these different areas around the world. They had purpose. And so they had a type of attitude to why I wake up in the morning. They had a knowing of their sense of purpose and feeling needed by their community, and this actually they found added up to 7 years of extra life expectancy. So having a purpose for living. And so a lot of times when we're becoming older, we especially in the U.S., we'll tie that to a career or to a business. And then once that career or that title or that business is over, many a time we will not go and find another purpose and meaning to life to live. So that was very key. And the next thing was downshift, meaning stress is a natural part of life, but it leads to chronic inflammation, which is tied to every major age-related disease. These people who are centenarians have daily rituals to shed their stress. Can you imagine that? And remember, we talk about these resets, and that's why I'm talking about as part of your Becoming Me goals, is to have that ritual, a daily ritual that you do of consistency. And in their cases, they prayed. Some of them took naps, meaning took a little nap time. Some of them had happy hour. And, we know for us, it can be journaling. It can be a lot of things that you need to do during the day that helps bring down and relieve stress. For some, it's also doing deep breath, but they all had that in common. And this one is very interesting as well. They had the 80% rule. Many of them had a habit before meals, which remind them to stop eating when their stomachs were 80% full. And this 20% gap between not being hungry and feeling full prevented them from overeating and weight gain. So that's a good one, a good practice, because a lot of times we're looking for a specific type of diet and we want to go on certain diets, but also too, we may want to pay attention to our bodies when our bodies are telling us that we're almost full, instead of overeating or over consumption. That one of the things that they did was they weren't doing over consumption. Now, another part of that, and that goes along with this not over consuming, was they had a plant slant, While most of these cultures are not strictly vegetarians, their diets are overwhelmingly plant-based, meaning they eat a lot of beans, a lot of black soy, and lentils. They serve as a cornerstone of most of their diets. Meat is eaten on average only 5 times a month, usually in a portion about the size of a deck of cards. So they did not eat a whole lot of meat, even though they had meat to eat. And then there was the wine at 5. With the exception of the Seventh-day Adventists in California, people in many of the blue zones drank alcohol moderately and regularly, typically 1 to 2 glasses of local regional wine per day with friends or with food. So that was another one of their traditions. Now, the next one is belonging. Out of the hundreds of centurions, which is people who live over 100, interviewed, almost all belong to some type of faith-based community. And the research suggests that attending a faith-based service 4 times a month can add 4 to 14 years of life expectancy, regardless of your denomination. So I'm thankful that all of those years of me attending church and going to a church finally is going to pay off. Now, the next one is loved ones first. Successful centurions in these blue zones put their family first. This means keeping aging parents and grandparents live nearby with their loved one, which means they had generational living. And they were either in the home, which lowers mortality rates for grandchildren too, and they had a life partner, and they also invested time and love into their children. So this is also having that sense of family and communion helped also to bring them lower their death rates or mortality rates. And then we have having the right tribe. And we talk about a lot of that in the good old U.S. And the world's longest lived people chose or were born into social circles that support healthy behaviors. And these groups of 5 friends or more who commit to each other for life. Because when you are encouraging each other to have healthy behaviors, that it causes you to have a better, and that tribe that have like a healthy tribe locks in your good habits for life, because you're encouraging one another to eat healthy, to live healthy, to live a certain level of living. So this is one thing that they had all in common. So you want to be around people who are promoting your health and promoting your well-being, not promoting you to do things that are going to hurt your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul. It's so important to get around those type of people. I wanted to add another trait that I also noticed while I was watching this documentary. And that is that you could circle the area where they live. And I want to bring this important point as well, and that's something that we all need to consider. Where you live have real impact on your lifespan. Where you live in America has a huge impact on how long you will live. In fact, if you compare the healthiest places to the unhealthiest places, there is, believe it or not, a 20-year difference in how long people stay alive. And I may add that information to our next Becomers newsletter to show you what those places are and where they are. But I want you to be encouraged. If we do a lot of those 9 things that we just talked about today, even if you live in an unhealthy area, it still may help to mitigate some of those things that make up that 20-year difference. So I want you to stay encouraged. Now, the big takeaway from this all in this documentary is you can't always control the country, the state, or the city you live in. You can control the way your local city, or in fact, you cannot control the way your local city plan and the local economy, or where the nearest hospital is built. But what you can control sometimes is what you put on your plate. I want you to do your best, because some people actually live in food deserts. So it's going to be intentional eating as best as you can. And also, but more importantly, how much we move on our feet. That's something that hopefully we can control for most of us that are mobile. And if you're not mobile, there's ways that you may be able to exercise while you're in your chair or in your bed. But I do want to caution everybody, of course, to check with your physician first if you are not moving now and you want to learn how to become a little bit more mobile, because that is a key to keeping our function. I want you to go ahead and get a physical and then ask the doctor how you can become a little bit more mobile. And for those of you who are moving, the importance is to keep that consistency in your life as much as you can. And to do it, definitely do it safely. That means the type of shoes that you're going to be wearing when you're moving around, checking out your house for safety in your house, for places where you can trip or fall or lose your balance, to make sure that if we're going to be moving, that we're doing it safely. And a lot of these things, they weren't just exercising. They did things like, cooking, fixing their own bed, doing things that would help make them have that movement. Because your habits are more powerful than your zip code. So here are some more practical step-by-step lifestyle plans that you and I can do to become while we're becoming older. And also for those of you who are a little bit younger, you're not quite there yet, you might want to start today, so you have already got this routine down and it is second nature for you. And here we go. First, treat your body right now like you are going to need it for 100 years. So that means eating real food, move your body every single day, and getting enough sleep. And there are studies that show that when you get 8+ hours of sleep, it actually rejuvenates your brain. And your brain is one part of your body that we have to pay attention to. Not just our heart, not just diabetes, not just hypertension, but we have to pay attention to our brain, because we also want to decrease the possibility of dementia and Alzheimer's. And movement actually works with that, and sleep also helps with that. And so those of you that are younger, you do need to still be getting your sleep as well, because it's going to impact you as you get older. Also, modern medicine can keep us alive for a very long time. So we want to make sure our bodies are functional and strong and for the long haul. Now, second, take charge of your own happiness every day. Stop waiting for the perfect circumstances. Learn to practice gratitude. And sometimes that's hard, because most of us, as we age, we're seeing a lot of things that we are not happy about. And we're also finding that there are things that are changing in our bodies and in our lives, and also in our society, how they treat older people and seniors. But somehow we also have to find joy in spite of the challenges around us. And third, that's why it brings me to building deep connections. Pick up the phone and call an older relative or neighbor this week. Keep up with each other, check on each other. Listen to each other's stories. Ask for each other's advice and make each other feel seen. By pulling us out, each elder out of isolation, you are building the kind of supported community that you would want to inherit when you as a younger person get there, but for those of us who are very close to getting there. Now, growing old does not mean losing our power. It means stepping into our full person. It means we have to get to live, and also that we can live better. Here is a piece of truth that I do want us to carry with our heart this week. Our gray hair is a crown of glory that tells our story. And if those of us who got little wrinkles coming along, it is just a sign of everywhere we have bravely been. Now, the other steps is protect our brain and our body. And we know that doing that, it helps lower the risk of memory loss and health disease. And then fourth, speak up when our health and for our rest. Because those we need to do, we have to advocate. When we feel tired, we need to rest. It's okay to rest. We don't have to push no more like we used to push. And so that pushing is not good. So we want to rest when we do need to rest. So that may be taking frequent little rest breaks. And when we go to the doctor, let's ask the right questions until we get the right answers. And do not let anybody dismiss our changes in our pain, because we need to be able to be heard, and also too, it helps us to get the help that we need early on. And then this is one that most of us talk about, and this is well talked about, and that is building that financial safety net. For those of us that, those of you, we understand that we have to have some type of safety financial plan, well, safety plan too. And experts who study women and wealth say that ultimate key to aging well is taking control of your money right now and recognizing that it will change as you get older, because what you want when you're older is very different for what you're going to want right now when you're younger. So you have to sit down and look at your budget, separate what you want and what you actually need or feel you need, because like I said, the needs change. So cutting the small extra costs today gives you choices today. A lot of times when you are up and you're doing, and when I say up, I mean like you have a 9-to-5 job or a business, you have all of those business clothes. But a lot of times as you retire, you don't need that wardrobe to be that big anymore. So that may be something that you want to pare down. And so the best part of it all is we don't have to flex. And that is the greatest part of being older, because you really don't have to flex. You reach a point where your friendships and your relationships are no longer dependent on what you're wearing and where you live. So don't get caught up in that. Now it's time to let it go. It means you do what you want for yourself, and it means that financial security means peace of mind, and peace of mind means that will keep you becoming old gracefully. And then lastly, we're going to lock in that tribe. Remember, we talk about that tribe, and that is your community. You need a circle of friends who's going to protect your peace and support your good habits. So let's call friends that make us laugh, not the ones that's going to think. Sometimes we got to call them and pray with them and encourage them, yes, but that can't be your everyday friend. And you want to stop trying to do life all alone. We need each other to live long and well. Now, this is our weekly check-in, For those of you that are doing your becoming goals, where are you with your becoming goals this week? Personally, my becoming goals that I am working on, I'm working on 3 right now. The first is my morning routine reset, which I got more into last week, and I'm continuing as well this week because it has been a process with distractions. But taking those first few minutes of the day just for me has been totally grounding. Then I am working on all things podcasting because my summer schedule and the upcoming series that I want to work on and more. And then, of course, I am working just like others on readjusting my finances. Last week we talked about becoming financially stable. So I'm readjusting my finances based on the upcoming forecasts as well. And if you set a goal this week and stuck to it, big or small, congratulations. Let's pat ourselves on the back. I am celebrating with you because you did that. But if you are listening to this and you have not even started your journey yet, I have a question for you. What becoming goal are you willing to start this week? You do not have to wait until you have it all figured out. Just start. We have 7 more months left in this year. So time to get involved in your own becoming journey today is critical because you are worth the effort, and you will thank yourself in come December that you have worked on some goals and you saw progress. Remember, we may not always get the goal accomplished, but each year and each month we want to see progress, and we got to celebrate the progress. So as we wrap up today, I want you to remember you cannot control the number of years that you have left, but you have to say over and over to yourself, it is how I respond to the rest of my life. So if this episode spoke to you, then I want you to make sure that you never miss another moment. I want you and encourage you to please subscribe to the Motivate Moment by Momafey on Substack. And there you'll find my 3 podcasts. And this one is Momafey Becoming Me podcast. And I am the host of all 3. So you won't miss any episodes. You need to sign up and subscribe to the podcast. And then, of course, while you're there, also check out the free Becomers newsletter. You can subscribe to that too. And what it is it's going to go deeper into each episode of what I talk about. And so this week, we're going to be talking about those practical step-by-step life plans. But I'm also going to share the 9 traits that I talked about today. But I'm actually going to share with you those areas that in the USA where they have done research that say that how certain cities and certain states and where you live can impact your lifespan. And sometimes it's just good to know. It's good to know so you can plan better. And for those of you that are not on Substack, you can listen online at momafey-ht.podbean.com, where you can easily find us on more than 8 different podcast platforms, as well as Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and also Pandora and Facebook. Facebook actually has the episodes as well for the Becoming Me podcast. And if you want to track your progress, you can also download that PDF Momafey Goal Setting Journal, which I give you a discount code for those of you who subscribe. You get that for free, and you can print off the page and start goal setting for yourself and writing your personal goals as well. It's easy to use. That's why I like to use it, because it's easy to use. So, and I'd also would like for you to go and check out my new website, which is Momafey-HT.com. It's a work in progress, believe me, because it's a new one. And so it's a work in progress, believe me. And when you subscribe to yearly subscription, which usually that's where I prefer. I'm subscribing to anything. I don't like the monthly ones. I prefer to give it once and done. You become a part of the Becomers Club, and you will receive one-to-one coaching on goal setting and so much more. If it's other things, it's a list that is provided to you, and you can choose what you would like to be coached on. And plus, you get that PDF journal free, and you get 30% discount on digital products and on my Momafey collection. Plus, you get access to a private page that's on the Momafey-HT.com website, and lots of resources and webinars and more. Now, I also want you to continue the conversation. I want you to get inspired by connecting at Momafey-HT on all social media platforms, and you can listen to me live or join me live on Thursdays with Momafey Conversations. And so I want you to get ready for this next week, because we are going to also talk about becoming spiritual. And I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to take you on my journey. All right, that's it for today. I want to thank you for listening. That is all for now, and I will see you next time.